Hello beautiful gluebookers. This gluebook started out with something a little bit different. Every page already had a quote printed on it. So instead of filling up blank pages, I had to figure out how to build my collages around the words. I'm Deborah, welcome back to the collage table. Today I'll be flipping through my completed quote book. Let's turn the pages together, see how it all came out. This is the opening page with a little vintage flip open card. And there's a photo of myself when I was young, and every answer is inside you. If you've seen the earlier sessions with this book, these pages will look familiar. Those videos go into more detail about the images I chose and how I decided to place them, so check those out if you like a closer look at the process. This is the only spread in the book without a quote, just a mix of images that spoke to me and I thought wanted to be on the spread together. We must always be on the lookout for the presence of wonder. For this page I paired that quote with surreal images that felt like they were a good match. There are far, far better things ahead than any we leave behind. For this page I glued images very much color-based, but also the swan feels a little uncertain, looking away from us. Or is it looking back? A longer text here. If you have good thoughts, they will shine out on your face like sunbeams and you will always look lovely. For this page I added a mix of random images along with a vintage children's book illustration of some very happy princesses. This page has its own personality. Simplify, simplify. I didn't try to keep the images simple. Instead I added a full sewing room, a fig cheesecake and layered some other pieces. Explore, dream, discover. This page didn't come together right away, but I'm happy how it turned out. It's my usual mix of vintage and modern images. The girl fabulously dressed in all blue with her sunglasses looking like she just got back from a trip around the world. Oh, yes, you get to decide. This one was in the book as you get to decide what to worship and a word cloud of things you could choose to worship. I was not a fan. In the end I just covered everything up besides the you get to decide, because I like that part. Fierce are paper tigers. I love this quote and I sort of color matched the images, and I like the painting of the girl with the magnifying glass inspecting her paper tiger fears. Courage, dear heart. Here I started with the vintage Cinderella illustration, and of course there had to be some sort of glass slipper, so that's on the left. There's also a frog, even though it wasn't Cinderella who kissed the frog, I know. If you ever find yourself in the wrong story, leave. I love the background of all the old vintage suitcases and the group of old school ladies who look like they might be wondering whether they're in the right story or not. It is never too late to be what you might have been. The ladies of absolutely fabulous being their fabulous self. The alarm clock might be a little cliché here, but it's orange and vintage, so I think it's okay. The question isn't who is going to let me, it's who is going to stop me. The spread works, but it's not my favorite. I do love the gold vintage clock though. I have that exact one on my shelf. And there's Chanel. Chanel is always good. The sun shines not on us but in us. The spread felt bright and playful when I made it, and I think it shows. No one has ever become poor by giving. I like how the images came together on this spread, telling their story one by one. The nature background, the girls, the Eiffel Tower, the Jeff Koons balloon dog. It all works. I'm a great believer in luck, and I find the harder I work, the more I have of it. This is one of my favorites. I had been waiting for the right spread to use the vintage girl with her camera and the lady with her arms wide open. The cabin by the lake is lovely too. Can I please work there? Live your life, live your life, live your life. This turned out to be a lovely spread, featuring a vintage fashion illustration of a girl just living her life. What you think? Maybe she's moving to New York, just like I did when I was younger? Wisdom means to choose now what will make sense later. I am learning every day to allow the space between where I am and where I want to be to inspire me and not terrify me. Beautiful. I wasn't sure where to go with the images here, and the page turned out really different than I expected, but I like the overall look. We become what we think about. This one was fun to work on. The images, some vintage, some modern, just how I like it. And if you remember from a previous video, we joked that maybe we'd all turn into superhero cats, since that's what I was thinking about while cutting and gluing the cat in. I am not afraid, I was born to do this. I like the strength of this quote. And it reminds me of how I felt when I moved to New York back in the days. So New York had to be on the spread, obviously. Persistence guarantees that results are inevitable. Do you know the story of Mother Hull, where the kind stepdaughter works hard without expecting anything in return, and in the end gold pours down into her apron? It's such a perfect visual for what steady effort can bring. Be yourself, everyone else is already taken. Yes. The spread is a great match of lovely images, and don't skip on the little letterboard that's in there, feminist with a to-do list. I took a deep breath and listened to the old brag of my art. I am. I used a vintage makeup image as the background. I think the intense stare works so well with the quote. Most of the images are vintage too, even the Twin Towers made an appearance here. I knew who I was this morning, but I've changed a few times since then. The New York nightlights just felt right here. Those were days filled with an abundance of adventures, sometimes so many in a single day it felt impossible to keep up. Was it the city or simply the age I was then? There is not always a good guy, nor is there always a bad guy. Most people are somewhere in between. I love how the right page turned out. From the start I knew I wanted to include a couple. The vintage illustration was perfect, and finding that antique wedding photo felt like an extra perfect, unexpected gem. Vulnerability sounds like truth and feels like courage. This spread came together mostly through balancing colors and shapes, but the attitude of the girl that does not have the typical Dutch look, but she is wearing traditional Dutch clothing, felt perfect to go with the quote. One never knows. The quote carries a sense of mystery and the spread a bit as well. The images seem to capture that moment of anticipation, of what might be coming, or what had just unfolded. Be silly, be honest, be kind. My favorite spread in the book. How it looks, how it goes with the quote, the vintage and modern mix, and especially that silly little face of my son when he was still so young. I love this one. Be patient and tough. Someday this pain will be useful to you. This spread came together with a fun mix of images, especially the bunny that looks like it just got into a fight with that bird. I also love the vintage children's illustration, like we're giving them some wise advice. There was another life that I might have had, but I am having this one. The spread feels a little random. It's okay, but it's random. The envelope was part of my 20 free things to use in your gluebook video. There are some old treasures, ticket stubs in there. I will link to that video on screen and in the description so you can watch it when you finish this video. You might also enjoy that one. So for now, let's just put the paperclip back to keep the envelope in place, folded like this. And then let's move on to the next one. This is the final one. At first glance it may appear too hard. Look again, always look again. Another one that I love. The quote, the colors, the images, my kid. You can check out the flip through playlist if you want to see more of my completed glue books. For now, thank you for watching. I hope you have a fabulous day. And if you haven't already, please like and subscribe. Till next time, bye.